Welcome to this video. So this video is from a young man from Canada, and it goes a little something like this. How do I forgive myself for the pain that I have inflicted on others? I've apologized and I've begged for forgiveness, which I have received from them, but not myself. Any insights you have would be greatly appreciated. This is a big one. This has been a big one for me as well, personally. That self-forgiveness, that ultimately what is around self-care and self-awareness. And when we lack this ability to really care for who we are, to really see ourselves in the fullness of what we are, to let go of the past and begin to live in the present, until we do that, we can never experience freedom. We can never experience openness of self. We can never experience liberation. And whilst it's important to ask forgiveness of others, it's also very important to seek forgiveness for ourselves. In my own life, I've taken action mainly in my relationships, in my intimate romantic relationships, where I haven't been in integrity, where I've been unfaithful in my relationships. I've been aggressive. I've brought my past wounding, my past pain in that relationship. All my fears, my compounded fears, I've brought them in the relationship, and I've lost myself in that. I've lost aspects of who I are, and I've hurt other people. And in that moment, I was in so much pain and so much self-inflicted suffering that I could not see my actions. I could not get clear about who I was being in the world. And so I not only hurt myself, I hurt others, and I hurt the progression of the relationship. And so forgiveness is an inside job, because if we keep hanging on to what we did and who we were, and we're no longer that person, we're bringing that person into the present, and we're continually living from that place, even though we're not taking actions that were aligned with the person that we were. Guilt stops us from continuing to act in a particular way. And so when we get guilty enough, we can see the essence of our actions. Shame stops us from experiencing love, from continuing to experience the fullness and the truth of ourselves. And maybe this individual, and I'll speak directly to him, maybe you feel undeserving. Maybe during and through your developmental conditioning, perhaps maybe one of the core reasons as to why you inflicted pain in the first place was because you felt undeserving. Or perhaps you wanted to get attention because you were ignored as a child. You were told you were not good enough. You were told you were not smart enough. You were told you were not enough. And this was instilled in you. And this feeling of low self-worth carried on into your adulthood, because so many of us leave our fears unchecked in the unconscious realm of the being, in our bodies. And we forget who we truly are. And who we truly are is magnificence in motions. And at least when we're hurting others, that attention is placed on us. And being able to feel something is better than being ignored and not feeling anything. And then this becomes our habit. This seeking attention, this hurting others and validating ourselves in the actions that we take, it becomes habit. Then we form sometimes this tendency of codependency, and we seek it from others. And so once we sort it in a particular way, maybe an unhealthy way, an aberrant way, a way that was aggressive against others, and now once we go through a process of forgiveness where we see who we are and who we've been, but we haven't quite forgiven ourselves, we haven't quite seen ourselves for who we truly are, we then continually seek that forgiveness from others. And we can't rest until we feel that from others. And then sometimes we get that and we receive that, but it's not enough because we haven't given it to ourselves. And so one of the core of this question was, how do I receive essentially forgiveness from myself? And I'll go back to circling that it's an inside job. It's an opportunity to look at our lives and ask ourselves, who do we want to be? And where do we want to go? And so we have to take action. We have to choose to surround ourselves with people that see us, that care for us, that acknowledge us, that are non-judgmental in their views towards us, that can see us for the goodness that we have and can mirror that back in a healthy way to keep us accountable, engaging in a practice of self-care on a daily basis, beginning with how we speak to ourselves, how we see ourselves, how we feel about who we are, checking in with the language that we're using, with how we're communicating with ourselves. Because more often than not, the way that we communicate ourselves, if we were to communicate and express that way with others, man, we wouldn't have many friends. We wouldn't have any loved ones. Yet we allow ourselves to speak like that to who we are. And essentially, when we're speaking like that to ourselves in that negative way, it's the ego protecting us. It's the ego protecting us from the unknown. It's the ego protecting us from what is not familiar, because what is not familiar is unsafe. And it would rather, the organism, the being would rather remain in a place that is known and familiar, albeit painful, than to venture into the unknown. Yet, for millennia upon millennia upon millennia, we have survived and we have thrived because we have ventured into the unknown. From the physical to our geography, to being cosmonauts of our inner mindscape. And so it becomes imperative, and we hit a point in our lives where we have to venture into the unknown, and telling ourselves and reassuring ourselves that it's safe to do so is powerful. Do something kind for yourself every day, because when you do that, you're teaching yourself that you're worthy of care, that you're worthy of love. It could be a massage, it could be going for a walk, it could be exercise, it could be spending time with loving, caring people, it could be having fun and laughing. But whatever you're doing, purposely, deliberately expose yourself to something that gives you value in your world. Now, then you'll cultivate a neurological, behavioral, emotional habit of seeing yourself through a lens of greater worthiness. Perhaps you need to seek professional help as well and have that guidance to help you navigate this new way of being. Because sometimes when and I've come from this place, when we consistently hurt others, we're hurting ourselves, and we form a habit and a practice around this, it becomes our norm. So not hurting others is, we sort of stop that because we realize that that's way too intense. We're pushing everybody away, and being isolated is not favorable because we're relational beings. But what we do is we pick up that pushing away of others and we internalize it and we bring it into ourselves. And so what happens is we start pushing ourselves away. And so we have this negative, harsh tonality in our self-talk. We cannot forgive ourselves for who we are, and we live in this perpetual cycle of shame. And it's that shame that eats at us. And we can't then present the wholeness and fullness of who we are in the world. We can't show the world our value and what really matters. And so you have an opportunity to reframe all of that, to reshape the way you see yourself, to connect to yourself in a completely new way. And you're not going to do it alone. I'm telling you that right now. You will not do this alone. You need to connect with people in your life that see you and support you, and that equally challenge you and keep you accountable in a healthy way, from a place of wanting to see you shine, not to challenge you to see you hurt, but to see you shine. And yes, that may come with some pain. You may have to move through fear, and that's okay. I hope that's been helpful. Self-forgiveness is an inside job. It always is. It always has been. It always will be. And when you begin to see yourself with the truth of what you are, with that magnificence in motion, what will tend to happen is others will see you in that way as well. Power and blessings to you people. I'll see you soon.